Hey, everybody. Good morning. How are you? Happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend, or at least the weekend in most parts of the world. But I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you and your families are good and safe in your little corner of the world. I'm happy to be able to spend another Saturday with all of you, or another day with all of you, talking about data science and really anything you guys would like. As you know, I am intending to launch my own data science school. So the focus of these streams is to go ahead and build that school in public, talk about the different things that you as the audience, as the data science enthusiast, would like to see in the future. And I'm here to take in that feedback. I'm here to, get your opinions on what a data science school should be, and I'm going to do my best to meet that. August 1st is the intended launch date, but I need to see that this idea is viable. So I'm running an experiment. I'm asking for 1,000 people to sign up to be a founding member before August 1st. It's $5 a month, just $5 a month. And if I see that there's that interest there, I will go ahead and open on August 1st. If not, everybody gets their money back, and I'll try the idea at another time. But I'd really like to see this get off the ground. I'm going to remain optimistic that there are 1,000 people out there. We already have 20 signups. So this has been the second week of streaming, second week since I announced it, and I think yesterday we crossed over 20. I think we have like 22, 23 signups right now. So I'm excited. I'm going to remain optimistic. And if you're here, welcome. Let me know a little bit about you. Go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. And I'm here to take your feedback on what you'd like to see in the data science school. Let me adjust my camera just a tick because I'm getting my big old toolbox here in the shot. Let me get this over. There we go. So if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. Go ahead and just let me know where you're from or whatever you want to share. As I said, the intent is for us to go ahead and talk about data science and the school and the curriculum. I've been getting great feedback from you guys on the curriculum, but sometimes you guys just want to talk about other things, and that's totally okay. There's been a really increased conversations or demands for conversations about the soft skills in data science, which I think is fantastic. I love that all of you are kind of, thinking in those terms or thinking ahead to that. Super important in data science. When you think about the advancements in AI and the coding that's out there and the vibe coding, the vibe apps and all that, to me, that means that differentiating yourself from other candidates, other colleagues or whatever on coding skills has really gone down, right? We're basically evening the playing field. Leveling? We're level. Yeah, we're level. I don't know why I said evening. We are leveling the playing field when it comes to coding skills, right? Like if you're a company out there still testing on LeetCode, you're an idiot, right? Like, hello, right? So what's really gonna, so if you agree that that's level, what's gonna elevate you? What's going to elevate you is the soft skills, right? Your ability to talk to people, your ability to create a connection with people and be able to get your ideas across in a very simple way, in an effective way, right? So that's something that I think, I'm not sure if that's what's driving why people are asking about soft skills, but it's certainly a good time for it, right? It's a good time to work on that communication, the presentation, your emails, how you carry yourself, how you project yourself, right? Because all of that comes back to whether people recognize you as an expert or not. And if they don't recognize you as an expert, then you're going to have a hard time becoming an effective data scientist, right? So love the fact that we've been focusing more on the soft skills. We can certainly keep on talking about that. We can also keep on talking about the curriculum. As I said, you guys have been giving some great feedback on different things you want to see in the curriculum. Happy to keep on taking in that feedback. I'm going to keep on filling out the subtopics that I see to each course. It kind of helps me architect things out and where I'm going to talk about different things. Because in my mind, I know what I want to get out. I know the topics that I want to deliver to all of you, but where and how, like where in the curriculum, I should say, and how, that's challenging, right? So these sessions are helping me too to be able to plan things out and get these out to you. Now, I have to admit, it's a little bit intimidating because it's a lot of courses, right? It's a lot of courses. It's a lot of material. But I'm going to be using AI to help me with that a little bit. I think I have a decent software set that I'm going to be using for the school itself. So yeah, I'm pretty optimistic that it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's going to be good. All right, so if you're in the chat, let me know. Say hello. Let me know how you're doing, and we'll just kind of go from there. We'll see who shows up for the chat today. So is it over here? No, it's over here. I always point to the wrong. You think that after a year of streaming, I'd be able to point to the right section of where the chat is. All right. So here's where the chat's gonna appear. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you're checking in from. Would love to hear you. So in the chat, we already have Ty. Ty, how are you? Good to see you. Such a great supporter. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope your Saturday is off to a strong start. I know that the weather is beautiful out where I am right now. Maybe it's gonna get a little bit warm later, but I hope the same for you. I hope the weather is good out there for you. All right, guys, so anybody else who wants to say hello, please let me know. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up where we left off yesterday. Yesterday, we left off in the curriculum. Okay, so Ty is letting us know that he's from Dallas. Hope you're doing well as well. It's nice out in Dallas as well. Okay, cool, yeah. Nice, Ty. Glad to hear it. I know that Dallas can get very, very hot during the summer. So right now, maybe it's just the calm before the storm. But Texas certainly does have some nice weather in the spring. So glad you're doing well. Denelson, our good friend from LA, says happy Saturday, Sir Dennis. Denelson from LA. Hope everyone is having a relaxing first weekend day. I think we are on our way to doing that, Denelson. But you know, for some people in some cultures, Saturday is actually the second day of the weekend. I have some clients in other countries who remind me that in some cultures, Friday and Saturday is the weekend, right? In a lot of countries, the work week is Sunday through Thursday, and then the weekend is Friday and Saturday, and then, you know, kind of picks up from there. I believe that's related to the religious calendars in other places. But yeah, so for most of us, it is the first day of the weekend, but for some people, got to go back to work tomorrow. But Denelson, thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. All right, so as I was saying, what I can do is I can pick up from where we were yesterday, and then I might have some questions for you guys afterwards. But let me go, well, let me start this way. Let me start my classroom camera. Okay, so if you guys haven't seen it yet, you can go to school.datasciencewithdennis.com. That's the homepage of the school, and you can see the software that I'm using. The software that you're seeing right now is called Moodle. It's an open source LMS that's very popular, apparently. I did not know about Moodle until about a month ago. But it's very popular for courses and trainings, and I think even some universities use Moodle. So it's a very robust LMS system. So that's why I'm choosing to use it. I'm not an expert in it. I'm going to have to hire a couple of consultants to help me with some of the aspects of Moodle. But it's a robust program enough, but I'm encouraging you to go there so you can see some of the courses, or at least the initial setup of the courses that I have. Some of them you can see I've already added descriptions and graphics. Others I still have to do that. So some of that I'll do on stream, some of that I'll do off stream, because I have to do a lot of work off stream, right? 1 hour a day is not going to launch my school. I'm going to have to work a lot. But you can see the parallels between that and this list that I'm maintaining to help me kind of keep track of my progress. Actually, let me make a quick change here, guys. I want to make sure I also keep an eye on the Instagram chat, make sure that that's working on my local side. Okay, so you can see that every course that appears here on my list also has a corresponding entry on the homepage because I've already set up the the like the initial placeholder for the course, right? And then these types of bullet points, sub bullet points, are the topics that I want to talk about in each one of these sections, right? Like I can't talk about the basics of numbers without talking about estimation or the context of numbers. I can't really talk about analytics without talking about KPIs, right? So this is where I'm kind of architecting out those ideas, and then I'll transfer these over to the LMS, and then I'll know when I'm done in that regard, right? When a particular course is done. So this helps me kind of keep like that high level view into making sure that I'm covering the topics that are necessary. Now, how am I choosing these topics? Well, I'm choosing these topics based on the things that I learned and the way I was taught. But more importantly, I'm also choosing it according to things that I know I've used in the real world, right? You're not going to use everything you learn in a statistics course in the real world. So I'm trying to kind of distill all of that down into showing you what I have used and how they relate to data science, right? Because statistics alone is not data science. So I want to help you understand the relationship between some of these topics and real world data science, right? Because that's also the second angle that I want to introduce of this is how you actually do data science, when you're in the trenches in the real world. And that's really one of the purposes of this section down here on the data science for executives, right? Because nobody talks to you about that in school, right? Nobody talks to you about how you actually deploy a project, right? In school, or even like in Coursera courses or even Kaggle, right? You go, the data is given to you, you develop the model, and then you prove some result, maybe like a deliverable to your professor is like the confusion matrix of your results or something like that. And then you get a grade on that, and then you never touch that model again, right? In some cases, maybe you've never even written a predictive cycle for an algorithm, right? You don't need a predictive cycle to come up with a confusion matrix. You can do that just in training cycles, right? So doing that is something that isn't really taught, but I want to teach that, right? How do you actually move forward with deploying a project? Like, I don't think there's a lot of courses that really talk about that. So those are the types of things that I want to make sure I include also. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start from the top. I want to make sure, I want to kind of review my work from before. I'm going to add different topics. I'm going to talk out loud because I think that helps elicit responses from all of you. So if there's something that I'm forgetting or something that you think I should be including, let me know. But that's really kind of like the goal that I have for today as far as continuing the curriculum. And then eventually we'll also get more into the Moodle side and actually start to build out some of these sections. Some of these sections I want to make sure that I kind of keep a little private because I want all of you to benefit from that. When you watch the streams, I don't want you to go into the school and just feel like you know everything already, right? I want to leave a couple of surprises there, right? So I have a school intro section, which is basically what I would ask people to look at from the very beginning. So in the start here, I want to make sure I have something. I want to write something about real world data science. And what else do I want to have there? I want to have something about the time commitment required. As you guys have always known, I have never been an advocate for somebody that can become a data scientist in a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, right? Good data science takes time to learn. It's a big time investment to do that. So I definitely want to set that expectation right from the very beginning. The 10 Commandments of data science is something that I've been wanting to work on. And I will probably not write those out today because I still want to come up with a couple more. But the whole point of this section is I want to set the tone, right? In leadership, in books, in your documents, the tone starts from the top, right? The tone starts in the beginning. So that's really what I'm trying to do between these two like intro courses. I just want to kind of let you know where I'm coming from, what my goals are, and then in turn, what you can expect, right? So just setting the tone. Okay, so now I have my basics course. I think it's super important to be able to understand numbers before you can understand like anything else, right? So that's the purpose of these basics courses, and particularly the first course. Because to me, understanding numbers really, really helped the foundation for the rest of data science. One of the things that I found most beneficial, and let me know if you guys think of it this way, but one of the things that I found to be beneficial is the realization that numbers do not live by themselves. A number by itself is meaningless. If I tell you, you know, to think about the number 27, like what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? Like 27, okay, is that high? Is that low? Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know, right? You got to have an understanding of numbers around you before you can say, oh, this is what I think, or this is what's going on, right? Like a number by itself is worthless. So those are the types of things that I want to get across in this section, especially the basics numbers and basic statistics. For basic statistics, we had a fun exercise a couple days ago with people coming up with MMMR, right? Super important to understand that, guys. Super important. From there, it's easy to segue into distributions, right? And then you can talk about the law of big numbers, confidence intervals, and then it'd be impossible to talk about statistics without the students table, right? So I think that makes a reasonable layout for a basics of statistics course. If I've forgotten anything in there, let me know in the chat, guys, okay? Next, I'm going to have something on the basics of analytics. Lots of business problems can be solved with analytics, right? Most of the time when you are turning down data science projects in a corporate environment, you can probably find your way to a analytics solution. So I want to talk about that here. And then I also want to talk about some analytics models. If you guys in the chat want something to think about, what is one of the main drawbacks or one of the main warnings that you need to know about analytics models? So let me know in the chat, or just think about it, right? Because maybe some of you are too embarrassed to share the answer, and that's okay. What is one of the main drawbacks, if not the most important drawback, to working with analytics models? Anybody know that? Anybody know that? There's certain rules you have to understand for analytics models. They're very powerful, very effective, but there's pitfalls. If anybody wants to share that, let me know. I have to have something on causality studies. Guys, spoiler alert, not everyone thinks data science is great. There is, believe it or not, an anti-data science sentiment. I don't want to say movement because it's not like they hold protests or anything, but there is definitely an anti-data science sentiment out there, right? And that can begin by looking at causality studies. So gotta have something on that. Gotta have something on causality studies. You guys know that I'm not a fan of web scraping, so I want to try to enable all of you to have other sources of data, right? CJ in the chat. CJ coming in strong with just a little wave emoji. Nice introduction, CJ. How are you? Good to see you. I think you were here last Saturday, CJ, so welcome back. Good to see you. Let us know how you're doing. CJ, right now we're going over the curriculum for the data science school that I'm trying to launch on August 1st. But let us know how you're doing, CJ. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming back. So if I'm against web scraping, then I want to do my best to try to enable you guys to find your own data. And it's out there, so why not have a course on it, right? So that's what I'm going to do here in this section. From there, the next big category of classes is going to be data science. Data science methodology is going to be a huge course, probably the second biggest course on here. So many things to talk about in data science methodology. You know, I've thought about writing a book on data science methodology. I think it can be its own book. Maybe it can be its own series of books. I think it could be a series. But yeah, we'll see how that section fills out. But I'm going to have something on data science methodology. Definitely need to fill out more of the subsections here. These are just placeholders for now. So let me know if you have any suggestions on what you want to see in a data science methodology course, okay? From there, have to talk about advanced statistics. We had a great discussion yesterday on inferential statistics. Denelson in the chat, I think you came up with some pretty good definitions, right? Really important to be able to explain inferential statistics. Lots and lots of problems can be answered with inferential statistics. And in a way, data science is kind of rooted in inferential statistics, right? Because you break up your training data versus your test data, right? Like, isn't that kind of an inferential approach? Where you're going to test on some data that you think is going to have results for the other data that you didn't train on, right? That's an inferential approach, right? So understanding inferential statistics, pretty critical. I think it'll be cool to have a section on that. And then yesterday, we also agreed that regression models should be introduced in advanced statistics. I think it makes sense. I think most people in the chat agreed. If you disagree, let me know. But regression models as a nice segue between advanced statistics and machine learning, I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll be a good transition. So the biggest course will be machine learning, right? That's going to be a monster course. So that's where basically a lot of things that you already think data science are going to be contained. So that'll be interesting. Neural networks, got to talk about neural networks. In fact, if you're interested in neural networks, come on Sunday, tomorrow. We're going to continue our course on neural networks. I think that'll be fun. And then continuing education. You became a data scientist. What now? What are you going to do now? Right? Tariq over on IG. Nice to see you, Tariq. Tariq with the thumbs up. Tariq, let me know how you're doing. Feel free to say hello. Let us know what's going on in your part of the world. And I want to see if I can get my Instagram chats working again. So annoying that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. All right, we'll see if I fixed my my Instagram chats or not. CJ says, I'm doing well. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you too, CJ. Glad to hear that you're doing well. I think most of us are doing well, just enjoying a Saturday. Some of us are starting our Saturday. Some of us are in the middle of a Saturday, but we're glad you're here, CJ. Okay, yeah. So as I said, what happens when you are kind of like in the field working as a data scientist? How do you keep your skills sharp? That's where I'm going to try to do that's the whole point of the continuing education section. So hopefully people will get a benefit out of that. And then we're going to talk about data science for executives, right? Project planning, project deployment, stakeholder management, the soft skills for data science, and ethical data science practice. Denelson, I think you were the one that suggested the ethical data science, which is a fantastic suggestion. Lots and lots and lots of topics to cover there. So I have no idea how I'm going to cover that in a single section. It feels like ethical data science could almost be its own course, and maybe I will turn it into one as I develop this further. But wonderful that we're going to have something like that. AI for data science specialties. I'm making a distinction there between what you need for NLP, for computer vision, and for signal processing. And then finally, there's going to be a section on data science resources, project ideas, project challenges. I'm still open for discussion on what else should be there in the data science resources. I think it's a little bit vague, which is an opportunity, right? That means we can define it to be whatever it is we want it to be. So I'm open to suggestions there on what should be contained in data science resources. Okay, so let's do something else today. I want to move forward to working a little bit more in Moodle, because some of you who've been attending, you've already seen this curriculum list quite a bit. And I think it's refined enough where I can start moving some things into Moodle, right? So let me pick something that we can start working on. Let's actually do some physical work within the LMS. So why don't we work on the anti-web scraping for data? Let's work on that. I think I already have. Ooh, I don't have that. I have not created that yet. Interesting. So there's some of these that we still haven't created. Anti-web scraping for data. Okay. So let's go ahead and start creating that. I'm going to log in with my administrative privileges. And then I'm going to go to my courses, manage courses. And I think that one's going to be in basics, right? Yeah. So if I go to basics, these are my courses, right? Basics of statistics. Oh, I haven't created some of these. So let me quickly create some of these courses. So I have the numbers, statistics, and analytics courses, but I haven't created the causality studies and the anti-web scraping for data. So let me quickly add those. If you guys see me making any mistakes, feel free to stop me. So that I got causality studies, and I want to move that down because I kind of want these in an order. And then I need to add the anti-web scraping for data. Okay. So now we have that. I also want to move this down a little bit. All right. So if I go here, no, let's see. So if I go, I think I have to go here, and then I have to go. Where are actually, I think I have to go. Bear with me, guys, because I'm still getting used to this. Okay, so if I think I have to go into edit mode. Yeah, I have to go into edit mode and then click on my class. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Granger Causality Sir Dennis. Manoj, so good to see you. Manoj, our good friend from Bangalore, India. How are you, Manoj? Good to see you. Granger Causality. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you're referring to a causality method. I don't know that particular one, but Manoj, I assume that's what you're referring to. And as I've told you guys before, I am not a causality expert. I actually just learned about it maybe like within the last year and a half or so, 2 years. I had dinner with a really good friend in London, and he's another data scientist that I trust a lot, and I wouldn't say that about many data scientists. And we had a discussion over dinner about causality studies, and that's what kind of turned me on to looking at it. And then when I started reading about it and reading some of the books, it's like, whoa, crazy. Like I remember like some of the books I read, like they made me question myself, like oh my gosh, am I in the wrong field? Like what if like data science is a fraud? Oh my gosh. So yeah, definitely looking forward to writing more about this. Manoj says, greetings from Manoj, Bangalore, India. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you, Manoj. What a nice greeting. I think everyone is doing well. I think everyone's doing very well. Okay, Manoj says yes. Yeah, so Granger causality. And definitely going to find ways to introduce more of the causality approaches and methods out there, Manoj. Definitely looking forward to that. But at the same time, like I don't, I don't want to lose students, right? I don't want people to say, "Whoa, wait a minute, I gotta do more causality than I gotta do more data science, right?" But I gotta put it out there, right? Because there are companies, there are entities out there that do a lot of causality studies. Not that they're not doing data science, but they definitely rely heavily on causality studies. Like that's a thing, right? So definitely want to have to include that in this course. Okay, so general. Okay, so that one made Manoj laugh. Thanks for that feedback, Manoj. Okay, so not going to be called general. It's going to be called course introduction. So remember, guys, now we're talking about anti-web scraping for data. I want to have a quick section on intellectual property. And then I want to go back to our section. What did we talk about? We talked about APIs. And then we talked about studies with raw data. And then we talked about trade association. Creating your own data. Surveys. And then synthetic data. Okay. So to me, these are fairly reasonable approaches to how we can talk about uh, the other ways that you can access data without web scraping. Did I forget anything? Because I think that these are all fairly fairly important topics that you can kind of overlook, that you can use to look beyond web scraping, right? So now here's a question for you guys. Now the trick becomes, I know what I want to get across. I know the content, the core message I want to get across to you guys. But is it a video? Is it text? Is it a quiz? I don't know. And that's where this comes in. Here's a view from within Moodle, where Moodle will kind of gives you kind of like these built-in things, right? So I could add a quiz, I could add a lesson, I could add a page, I can go out to external resources, you know, like a URL, things like that, right? I thought, yeah, text and media area. So that means I could have like a video there for you guys, right? I am planning to have a lot of videos. So what do you think? How can I get this material across to you guys best? What do you think? Let me know. But like, do you like things that are heavy on quizzes? Do you like things that are more video oriented? Or some people like to read more. Maybe you like more text stuff. So let me know what you guys think. But I think it's important to kind of have some feedback from you guys on what that could look like. I think we're still in the top section, right? We're in the course introduction section. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's quickly, and you're going to have to bear with me here, right? Because I'm still new to Moodle, so I'm going to be making mistakes. But let's go ahead and add a text and media area. Okay. I'm not saying that this is the actual text I'll be using. Obviously, I'll be refining things. Maybe the intro will be a video. I don't know. But this is good for now. And that's what that looks like. So I'm surprised that the title is not shown. It asked for a title. So, oh, it's in the course index, but not necessarily displayed. So maybe I'll have to add that on my own. And then maybe I'm assuming there's formatting. Yeah, maybe like a heading 3. Okay. That looks pretty reasonable. That's not bad for a text section. You know, kind of almost looks like a Wikipedia entry, right? So maybe I'll have a combination of boxes like this and then videos, right? Like, I don't want to have text on explaining to you guys what intellectual property is, right? That's kind of boring. But I'd probably do a video for the next section and include that here. APIs for data. Let me try something. I'm assuming that the text and media has code formatting also. Equations, number, bullets. Maybe in the format? Maybe that's kind of code-ish. That's code-ish using the pre-formatted. I'm surprised that doesn't exist here. Instant Laughter. What a great name. Instant Laughter over on YouTube says, my question to you is how much math and statistics is enough to learn? Instant Laughter, are you referring to starting in this school or like data science in general? Let me know. Give me some more information. At what point in your career are you asking that? Are you asking that as a student that wants to just look at YouTube tutorials? Are you talking about my individual data science school? Let me know. Give me some more info. I need a little bit more details, okay? All right, so how am I going to do coding blocks then? I'm surprised that coding blocks is not here. But I can probably fake it, right? I can probably fake. Oh, it deleted it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, let's see. Table property. Border width, I want it to be 0. Alignment center. And then background. Yeah, background black. What is that? I think that's 6 zeros. Right? Excuse me, guys. Width, height, cell padding. Okay. Reformatted, and then how do I change the text color? Excuse me, guys. How do I change the text color? Because right now I have black on black. Am I missing that? Why can I not find the text color? Oh, there is a code, and there is a source code under tools. Why would it be under tools? That's kind of dumb, right, guys? Oh. No? Okay, so that's source code. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I was still on the right track by trying to fake it. But how do I change my text color? Am I being dumb, guys? Am I missing text color? Oh, there's a code sample. Maybe that's what I'm looking for? Maybe that'll be better? Okay, there it is. Okay, so I can insert code using the code sample. Why it's pink? I don't know. Most, excuse me. Most do not choose pink as the color. But it's better than not having it, right? I was trying to fake it with a table, right? You can usually do that. Delete, okay. I was trying to fake it, but We'll just have to stick with pink code. So if I do that and I turn there, that's what it looks like. That's not bad. That's not bad. What do you guys think? Are you guys down with the pink code? That should be okay. Pink on white is at least easy to read. Right? It's a good contrast. Okay, good. Ty says yes. Okay, cool. So Ty's on board with the pink. Thank you, Ty. So it's good for us to have those tools available, right? And again, this is me. This is why I'm doing this, right? So that I can also increase my skills and learn Moodle a little bit and kind of help me move along in the learning curve, right? Over on Instagram. Oh man, I'm so frustrated that Instagram isn't carrying the messages. So on Instagram, I am HP 1992. I'm sorry I didn't see your message earlier, my friend. I am HP92 says, "Hi Dennis, thank you for what you do. Inspired me to pursue data science concepts, and I've been able to train myself. And since last time, I now have a position in data science out of fun. Wonderful, that's fantastic. Congratulations, I am HP." Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I got something stuck in my throat. I love hearing those stories. There are people who have sent me this, and they've gotten jobs, they've gotten internships, they've met collaborators for their thesis and things like that. That's super humbling when I read those types of things. So really happy for you. Congratulations on the job. If there's anything else I can do to support you, let me know. I offer, in addition to the data science school, I also offer one-on-one coaching, which is something that I really enjoy. I have an amazing set of clients right now. So I am HP 1992. If there's something else we can do to support you, let us know. But good job. Go in there and do the best job that you can. Show them what data science can do, and I wish you success in that new role. But yeah, so thank you so much for that. And actually, give me just a second here. I want to make sure I capture that. I always kind of keep this as like a little bit of a scrapbook when I see, successes like this. So really happy for you. All right, so Instant Laughter says, "I'm a 4th semester data science student, and I'm confused about how much math and statistics I really need to know. If I'm aiming for an internship, what are the essential topics I should focus on?" Yeah, so good questions, and I'm glad you're here. So Instant Laughter, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm going to let a lot of people in on a secret. I am HP. I see you over on Instagram. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back to your message, okay? Okay, there's I am HP. Cool. So I am HP is now showing up in the chat. Thank you so much. So Instant Laughter. Instant Laughter. First of all, for everybody in the chat, I want to let you know that your question is very common. Your question, I hear a lot. I'm a data scientist. I have a degree. I kind of sort of know what I'm doing, but I really don't. And I kind of feel a little bit insecure, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, things along those lines. I hear that a lot. I hear that from people who DM me. I hear it from my clients. I hear it from managers who are hiring you, who know that their people that they just hired don't know a lot. So I say that to put your mind at ease, because this is an epidemic in data science, 100%. I mean, you're describing why a lot of my clients come to me in the first place. So what I would tell you is that you need more practice with more projects on your own. Because what you're missing is you're missing the real world of data science. You're in your 4th semester, which basically means that right now everything is being handed to you, right? Your professor gives you the data, the assignment gives you the problem statement, the assignment or the course lets you know what you're going to be using. I mean, if you're in a neural networks course, you're going to use a neural networks for your answer, right? So on and so forth. Oh, and you also get instant feedback, right? You produce something, the assignment tells you whether you're right or wrong, or the professor tells you right or wrong, or Kaggle tells you whether you're right or wrong. That's not data science. Data science is, it's not always as clear. The answers and the right path aren't always clear, right? So you're not alone. Very common problem. What I would also tell you is that you're going to gain that knowledge by practicing doing projects on your own from data that you source yourself. Start doing things beyond your school projects and find data on your own to work with. That's going to help you determine exactly what you need. The short answer to you is that it's not much. The use of math and statistics in data science, or the level that you need to know on a day-to-day basis, highly overrated. Math, I think, is virtually zero. Statistics, you don't need to know the formulas, but you definitely need to know the concepts. Why are you doing certain things? What's a standard deviation? Why does 2 standard deviations matter? Why does 3 standard deviations matter? What is a p-value? What is noise in data, right? What is noise in your results? That you need to know. You need to know the formula for p-values off the top of your head? No, right? You have libraries for that. But you need to know what they mean. You need to know why you need to pay attention to them, right? So that's the short answer. But the real answer is get out there, do more projects on your own. Another reason I say that is because you closed by saying, if I'm aiming for an internship, what are the essential topics? But we don't do that here, right? I say this in my content and I tell this to my clients. I don't train people to pass interviews. I don't train you to pass a project or build your portfolio. I want to train people to be data professionals. The more you do that, the more you practice, the more you do things on your own, everything else beyond that becomes easier, right? If you're doing practice on your own and you're working on building your data professional skills, then guess what? You carry yourself a little bit differently, right? Why? Because you know the vocabulary better. The soft skills come easier because people will start to recognize you as an expert. They listen to you when you're in presentations instead of blowing you off, right? Your portfolio will naturally build because you've done 20 EDAs and now you're not scrambling to fill your portfolio. You have a ton of projects to choose from, right? You're going to go from scrapping away to having a bounty of things that you can talk about. But passing the interviews is going to be easier. Why? Because you're a data professional. The reason you're not passing interviews is because you're not a data professional, right? So focus on that. What can I do to build my professional skills? Not pass the interview. I'm not saying that this is a metric, but as I've told you guys, as I've mentioned in some of my content, even after I did my master's studies, I took a period of about 6 months where I did studies, or I did my own advanced data science work and data science studies on my own. Nobody was paying me. I wasn't talking to recruiters. I didn't even have a data scientist resume at that time. And I did, my estimate, when I think about it, is I did about, I came up with 50. I did 50 EDAs, separate EDAs of studies and data that I found out on my own. I would sit in a coffee shop from like 2 p.m. to until they kicked me out at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I would sit there and I would just do studies over and over again. Some of those I just did EDAs, some of those I carried forward into models, right? But the point is I was putting in the practice. And I did all of that before I even had one data scientist interview. Like nobody was paying me. I just sat there in a coffee shop. What I think I would go Tuesdays and Thursdays. And just finding data, downloading things, putting things into RStudio, putting things into Python, just building my skills. If you do that, everything else comes easier. If you do that, you will never again ask me about how to pass an interview because you'll know it and you'll be able to do it. So, instant laughter. I know I gave you a long answer there, but think about it. So I'm going to jump ahead here. IMHP says probabilities and regression is a big one. Yeah, sure. I'd agree with that. I took dedicated probability courses, and I think the math I learned in those is probably too much. What I look for when I'm hiring for my teams is I want you to have an understanding of probabilities, like the net effect of probabilities. The last thing I want to do is hire somebody who thinks that 80% accuracy is a good thing. Now, I don't care if you know how to calculate 80% accuracy, libraries do that. But I want you to understand that, whoa, wait a minute. 80% accuracy, that means I'm still wrong 1 in 5 times. And 1 in 5 time errors happen with frequency, right? You can have a streak of 20% failures easily. Like having a streak of 4 to 5, 1 in 5 failures is not rare, right? So I look for people who understand what the numbers mean and the frequency of what those probabilities can mean. There's a great video out there. I believe it might be by Veritasium or somebody else, but they talk about that. They talk about how people woefully underestimate how streaky 50-50 probabilities can be, right? People think 50-50 doesn't 50-50, the most you're going to fail is 2-3 times in a row. No, you can fail like 8 times in a row in a 50-50 problem. Right? So I want people who understand that. So you're right, IMHP, probability is important and so is regression. But not necessarily the math behind it. I want people who understand the concepts behind it. CJ, tying back to it, says, last time you mentioned how to identify a non-data science problem. Yeah, absolutely, CJ. That's definitely a soft skill. And that kind of ties back to IMHP's comment about regression, because regression is how you solve most of those problems. I've taught like business executives how to do regression in Excel, because if you can teach them that, like that'll solve a lot of their problems. And, you know, and it stops your phone from ringing as a data scientist, which is good sometimes, right? But yeah, CJ, absolutely. Absolutely. God, you guys remember what I'm telling you guys. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm jumping around a little bit, but you guys have some great comments. IMHP says, that's true. You can't BS your way out in the real world when you want to stand out. Yeah, absolutely, IMHP. So IMHP or other people in the chat, as you guys know, or I should have said other people who've watched my content, the main reason I tell you guys to not try to pass the interview or not to try to BS your way out, as IMHP says, is what happens when you get the job, right? The only thing scarier than passing the interview is when you show up on the first day and they say, okay, big shot, you're our brand new data scientist. Okay. I've enabled you with a new computer. I've enabled you with data. You got 2 weeks to show me something. Let's go. Hot shot. Come on. You wanted that big salary? You wanted that money? You got 2 weeks to show me something. Time's running. What are you going to do then? Right? Don't pass the interview. Become a data professional. Okay? Kanza over on Instagram. Kanza, thanks for waiting. I know you made that comment. I was jumping around. Kanza says, I recently completed my honors in mathematics. Can I dive into data science? Sure. Of course you can. Anybody can dive into data science. Can you dive into it and become a data scientist in 1 month? No. It's going to take time. But sure, of course you can. You definitely can. But it takes time, right? A mathematics degree is a good base, but mathematics is not data science. So you're going to have to take the time to work your way into it. Kanza, I'm sorry, I don't want to stereotype you, but typically speaking, most mathematics graduates don't always have the strongest soft skills, right? The strongest people skills, the strongest presentation skills. So you're going to have to work on that too, right? Super difficult to kind of have that personality that you need for data science. You know, as I've told you guys before, my rule was if you were a physics PhD or a mathematics PhD, you do not talk during my stakeholder meetings. I will 100% hurt you if you're a math PhD and you talk in one of my stakeholder meetings, because they're usually not great presenters, right? So, you know, I hate to stereotype you. If that doesn't apply to you, I'm sorry. But that's just been my experience with most math graduates. So can you dive into data science? Of course. Are you willing to put in the work that it requires? That's only you can answer that. Instant Laughter says, maybe from your perspective, it was a little piece of advice, or for a person sitting far away, it means a lot. Thanks, Dennis. It clears a lot of things going around my mind. Oh, thanks so much. Thanks so much. Yeah, so Instant Laughter, really, the biggest takeaway I want you to think about is that you're not alone, right? Very, very common question. I mean, like I said, what you're asking is kind of like, it's kind of like what helps me get clients, to be honest with you. A lot of clients come to me with those types of questions. So yeah, you're not alone. Just keep working at it. Okay. Kansas says you are absolutely correct about that stereotype. Okay, well, thank you. I mean, it's like I'm speaking from experience, right? That's just been my experience, you know. But if you're a math PhD and you open your mouth during one of my stakeholder meetings, we're gonna throw hands. The minute that meeting's open, the minute that meeting's over, you're mine. Like seriously. Casual Economist, a triumphant return to the chat. So glad to see you again, my friend. Casual Economist joining us from Minnesota. So thanks so much, my friend. Casual Economist says, what type of people skills do econ majors have? I don't know. You know, that's a good mix. I say it's a good mix because I don't always come across pure economics majors in interviews and stuff, right? Because I think that most universities have like hybrid economics degrees, right? Like some sort of economics and business, or like a global economics focus, or economics and international affairs, right? Like, you know, give me some feedback in the chat, guys. But my sense is that, you know, a lot of schools don't have like just an econ major. I think the only one that really comes to mind is Harvard, right? Because I don't know if you guys know that, but Harvard doesn't have a dedicated business degree. You actually get an economics degree from Harvard. Or at least that used to be the case. Pretty sure that's still the case. But nowadays, when I come across graduates or read resumes or work with clients, it's always I'm an econ in marketing, or I'm an econ with a focus on global economics, or I'm econ, or it's like some sort of international affairs and econ hybrid, or I'm a business and econ hybrid, right? So because of that, Casual Economist, I don't have a stereotype for that, because there's some business majors that are pretty good at presentations, right? Some business programs out there have a lot of presentations, so they come out of school with a decent amount of presentation skills. But as far as like pure econ majors, I don't know. I'd have to say kind of like, no opinion on that, you know? But I'm open to being wrong. My niece is a good example. My niece is, she's just finishing up her freshman year, and her school offers an econ and business hybrid. They don't, I think they do have a econ major, but it's not nearly as popular, like econ alone, I mean. But it's not, but most of the kids choose to do the business and econ hybrid. So I'm open to being wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I know every single curriculum that's out there, but that's been my experience. What do you guys think about that? Uh, Give me just a second to make sure I'm capturing everything over on Instagram. Scrolling through my chats here. Oh, I'm sorry, IMHP, I missed one of your chats. I was in your stream months ago when we had a debate of Python and JavaScript. It really moved me. I saw you took a hiatus. Now I see you here. Yeah, IMHP, I did take a hiatus. We finished off the year strong last year. January, I started by doing some work at CES. I loved going to CES and doing some content there. And unfortunately, as most of you now know, I did have to leave CES early because my parents lost their home in one of the big LA fires. So I didn't say that at the time because my family's naturally private. But I remember that I had just finished an interview on the CES floor, had a really good time, and I got a phone call from my sister saying that my parents had lost their home when I was right in the middle of the CES floor. So I had to rush from CES, and I went directly from CES, from my parking spot, and I immediately started driving to LA because at that time my parents were effectively homeless, right? So yeah, so that led to taking a break at the beginning of the year, and now I'm back. Today is the second week of like weekly streaming, and I'm building my data science school in public. So if you guys want to join the data science school, I think it's going to be great. August 1st is when I want to open, but you should sign up right away because I'm looking for 1,000 members to become founding members to help me get the school off the ground. I want to show that there's a solid backing for this school. So if you guys want to sign up, let me put the link in Instagram. I know some of you are Instagram. If you're on YouTube, you should already have the link in your chat. Let me put it over on Instagram. I forgot to do that. So give me a second to put it on Instagram. So the link is over on Instagram, guys. I might have put that in the wrong spot. All right, so I've pinned it to the top of Instagram. Please go ahead and join. I want to prove that the idea has legs and that the school can be self-funding in that way. Another thing, if you guys want to give me feedback on this, because this is something I want some feedback from you guys. My fear is I might have made a tactical mistake. August 1st is when I want to open the school, but I won't open it if I can't get enough founding members because I think the idea just wouldn't be viable. So what can I do to get that message better across? If you want to give me a feedback on why you haven't joined, maybe that'll help me. But what if I were to change the pricing structure? What if I were to say that for every 25 people that sign up, there's a price increase. So right now it's $5 a month. My goal is to make the school as globally accessible as possible, right? But I don't want people to wait until the last minute because I might kill the idea before then. So maybe for every 25 signups, the price goes up by 50 cents or $1 or something like that. But I need something between now and August 1st to kind of motivate people to sign up. What do you guys think? What can I do? Or what are the reasons why you haven't signed up? Or whatever you guys want to share about that, let me know. Now, I do want to recognize that in the chat, we have Ty, Denelson, Manoj, and I think that might be it as far as my signups. So thank you so much for that. I know there's already people in the chat who have signed up. And we're over 20. We have more than 20 people signed up, which is fantastic, right? We're only 2 weeks into it. So I want to remain optimistic. I think there's people out there who want a data science school. But what would motivate you to sign up? Or what else can I be doing to help with that? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm open to suggestions there. My fear is that everybody's just waiting until the last week. Or what if I were to say, oh, the school's closing, I'm not going to proceed with the idea. People are going to say, oh, wait, I want to sign up, right? So, I don't know. So Casual Economist says, I wait to the last minute, my bad. Yeah, Casual Economist, it's not for you or anybody else to apologize. I'm just trying to have an open dialogue with all of you. And Casual Economist, I think the key there is that, unfortunately, I've created the messaging that you have until August 1st, right? Because that's basically what you're saying, that in your mind, it's months away. But what I'm saying is, well, I want it, that's the intended date if the founding membership fills up, right? So I think I made a mistake in how that's positioned in people's minds. So Casual Economist, thank you for the feedback. I welcome the feedback from anybody else. And hey, if you want to reach out to me privately or have other ideas, I'm open to hearing them. But I think I might have made a mistake in how I framed that. So the price increase was suggested to me. Not a terrible idea, but I am trying to keep everything as accessible as possible, because I know that in some parts of the world, some countries, a subscription can be a lot of money, right? Netflix charges different amounts in different parts of the world. And I'm trying to be less expensive than Netflix. So $5 is about right. But let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Now, don't get me wrong. 20 signups is fantastic. I'm super happy about that. I think the pace needs to increase in order to make it for 1,000, right? And as I've told you before, it's intimidating to me. Like, I've never really been much of a fundraiser, So I think it's possible. Like, my gut tells me that it's possible. But I'm open to knowing that this isn't my strong suit, so maybe I'm making mistakes, and I'm open to you guys, to your feedback on it. But it's intimidating. It's intimidating to say I'm going to go after 1,000 people. Like, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But open to that feedback. Okay, guys. So really good questions today. I love the fact that we had some math majors. HP 1992. Thank you so much for sharing your work experience or how my content influenced you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it makes me feel good when I'm doing that, right? Because I'm just trying to put out the best content possible, guys. That's the whole reason why I started this. I was sick and tired. And by the way, I just passed my 1 year anniversary 2 days ago. But the reason I started this a year ago is because I was sick and tired of all the terrible cheat sheets and LinkedIn posts and terrible information out there. So I'm just trying to do my best and give you guys real world information. So when I read those comments, HP, thank you so much. That really helps. So I wish you and everybody else in the chat, success in their data science careers. All right, guys. So thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll continue our series on neural networks. It'll be week 3 for that series. So if you guys want to come back, really appreciate it. But as always, I recognize that I have an international audience and we live in a very dynamic world. I worry about you guys, so please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.